sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me.
Turn on your mind now, tune into the feed. We're planting digital flowers from a single tiny seed. Yeah, power to the collective in the data and the soul. The hive mind's getting louder, finding voice and control.
And here we go.
Welcome to the freak show, the best in town.
What is going on, Hive? I hope everybody's having a great New Year's Eve. I'm stoked for tonight. We got Booking with B backstage. Her and I have been trying to get a second stream on the book now for a while. And man, do we have a lot to talk about. We were just talking backstage and we were like, this case just continues to get more and more FUCKED by the day. And I know that her and I are going to have a great conversation tonight. I'm going to move rather quickly through the intro just because I'm positive her and I are going to have a ton to talk about. So as you all are filing in for this stream, please hit that like button. I'm going to say what's up to everybody. We got Batshit Crazy, Vonda, Nin, RBF Queen, Think Twice, Amanda B from West Virginia, Jimmy Chipwood, D-Dog Wifey, Monique, Georgia, Brandon, Sleuther Dare, Kim being skeptical. How are you doing? D Garrison, UK Karen, Heidi, UFO Dog. Shout out to one of my mods, Luna Bliss. Shout out to my other mod. Where's Discord Dawn? Sharjade, Gramilla, Poetic Justice. Scout says, yay. Love it. Booking with B. Absolutely. Crushing it over in the TikTok streets. It ain't easy over on TikTok. I'll tell you that much. She'll tell you that too. What's up, Discord Dawn? Michelle, Brett, Baby Ames, Velma, Crime Spy, Gina, Guest Mom. Kenzity says, hey, Birdie, been watching you for a while. You're great. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you for tuning in. Mel's Bells says, two of my favorites together tonight. Whoop, whoop. Love that. Anna, Jennifer, Philly Special, Michelle. Well, again, thank you guys for tuning in. Don't make me beg for the likes. Just tap that like button real quick. Leave more touch DNA on that like button than Koberger left on that sheath, and we will have a great night. And tonight's theme that B and I are going to be talking about is this unknown contact that Dylan Mortensen added at 351. That's where we're going to start. The reason why is because it's such an overlooked aspect in the mainstream narrative that this is something that could probably wake a lot of people up. That contact, it means something. To be honest, who it is, does it matter? Absolutely. But the fact that it's just added at that time is really a giveaway that the timeline is bullshit. Excuse my language. The timeline's bullshit. She's not asleep. She never was asleep, or if she was, it was briefly. She was completely aware of everything going on in the house, in my opinion. And I'm very excited to dive into that tonight with B. Now, I don't know where that other slide went. Whoops. Oh, my slides disappeared, but that's all right. Nonetheless, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to bring up B. Give me 1 second here. Let me get the layout right. There she is. How are you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you.
You as well.
My slides just went awry, so not that we need them.
Sometimes.
Yeah, that's okay. No worries. I'm sure you and we have more than enough to talk about. But real quick, for those of you that don't know Booking with B has been absolutely crushing it over on TikTok. Her handle is exactly how it sounds. Let me put the display name up. There you go. So Booking with B, that's your that's your handle, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Have you been posting on YouTube a little bit too now?
I have. I've moseyed over to YouTube. I'm doing it. Thanks to you. All thanks to Birdie.
Good. I'm telling you, you're going to crush over here. You've been absolutely dominating TikTok, and it's awesome to see. So congratulations on the success, but also great work.
Thank you. I've spent a lot of time.
Yeah. No, I can tell. And one of the things that outside of let's dive into it, I love that. And
thank you.
That's how I know I'm like, all right, my ears got to perk up. I got to listen. What has been kind of your deepest dive as of late?
My deepest dive as of late has probably been just going back into the documents. I've been diving back into those because I feel like with each and everything that we find, like when you go back to the documents, then you uncover something else. It's like I was talking with custody queens, and it's like this maze, right? You get one piece of discovery, and then that piece of discovery leads you in 10 different directions. So I think it's just completely diving back into everything once you find out new information.
You have a really good talent, and I'm not just trying to whatever word the kids call it these days. I'm like, just, completely, only just give you a bunch of props, but you're very good at this. And one of the things that I appreciate about your content is that you're able to articulate very well. You show the receipts, you give your thought process, and from my opinion, I think you speculate just enough on like, this is what human behavior would typically be. And you had brought up the custody queens. One of the things that Kristen had said is just in general, you didn't hear anything. That's one person being Dylan. Well, now there's two people being Dylan and Bethany. So that's not normal to probably not hear quadruple stabbing in your paper thin wall college house. So now you're expecting me to believe that two people are not normal. And that's really stuck with me the last couple of weeks. And I think you do a really good job at kind of whatever it is that they described in that analogy, you put that out pretty much in every piece of content. So that's what I enjoy about watching you is you have a perfect amount of speculation, but human behavior.
Thank you.
So backstage, you were telling me that you were looking into the recently unsealed reports for remind me, who was it?
Oh, yes. Oh, the new, so I dove back into the actual court documents, not anything on ISP, not anything on Moscow, not any of those things, the actual court documents. And I found hidden in those documents, Detective Mowry's unredacted report, which lists out names, everything. So it also confirms the Facebook post that Dylan made. It confirms that that's real. That is a real Facebook post. I don't know what the Facebook post is, and the Facebook post that's floating around, we cannot say that that is the exact one, but there was a Facebook post made by Dylan Mortensen from her Facebook account that is detailing some of the things that happened within the house, and she posted it on Facebook. It is in the documents now, completely unredacted, unsealed.
I'm trying to find it right now. I've been telling everybody, I've been using this like Russian server. I have a VPN. It's called Yandex.
Yes.
And it's like so much more unscrubbed than Google. So I just searched it and I'm trying to figure out if I can see that. But so you have no idea. In the documents, it doesn't say which Facebook post it would be.
No, so they don't list any of the Facebook posts. They just say that Olivia found a Facebook post made by Dylan putting details about the crime on Facebook. And everybody was going back and forth saying that that's not true. That didn't happen. Well, it is true. It did happen. It is in the documents now, unsealed, unredacted. Dylan Mortensen made a Facebook post involving some sort of details about the crime that she posted on Facebook. Now, what that post is, I don't know.
Isn't it almost a little bit more weird if she really doesn't know anything at this point?
It would be more weird that she doesn't know anything. Why would you go on Facebook and make a post about a crime It's almost like she wanted the extra attention. Like that's what it appears to be, that maybe the attention was wanted. Why else would you make a Facebook post in the midst of all of this going on and put details in it?
It doesn't make any sense. And then to provide no clarity in any of the interviews. So you're going to
No.
make a Facebook post. I actually started my stream last night by saying, are we ready to be adults about this case? Can we actually ask hard questions to other adults? And that is, I understand that you might not know if this is all real or if this is fake, but it is real, Dylan. 4 of your friends that you live with were just brutally stabbed to death in your house and you were home. You saw the killer. This is very real. So don't worry about it being a dream. It actually happened.
Yes.
Why is nobody talking to her like that?
I don't know why anybody's not talking to her like that. And I also don't understand why no one is asking, why did you not call the cops? Because that question I have not found in one single interview or one single document. Why did you not call the cops? What else I haven't found is that neither one of the girls said, we didn't call the cops because. Haven't seen it one single time. You would think that after all this went down and you were sitting there and you were sitting in front of we didn't call the cops because we were drinking. We didn't call the cops because we were afraid we would get in trouble for another noise complaint. We didn't call the cops because XYZ. None of that is ever talked about. Nothing is said.
Do you have any, whatever, I hate using the word theories, but I guess that's all it could be at this point. Like, do you have any ideas on why, based on what you've researched and things that you've found? I have a couple, but I'm curious if you do.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is that they didn't call the cops because they knew that something had happened and it took time to clean up the scene. There's evidence and indirect and direct evidence. It is in the documents of a cleanup. Who cleaned up? Who cleaned up? And where were those 2 girls while these said people were cleaning up?
Well, and that's a great point. And I think that there's another dynamic to this. I'm not trying to sound like, a sissy, like a soft ass, but I'll cover for my friends to an extent. But if my friends just killed people, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like in this situation where it's like, if I really had no idea and I'm in my room and you guys had your own problems and I knew both of you and I was friends with both of you, I'm sorry. I'm not going to go down for something that I'm not involved in. And that's not me snitching. That's just like human instinct. I'm not going to do that. And there's also no reason for that either that's been presented on why they may have not have called, right? Like there's nothing.
There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. Like, again, like I said, there's no reasoning behind it. And I don't feel like any of the officers asked the question, why did you not call the cops? There was an indirect kind of assumption, we didn't call the cops because we didn't think anything of it. But yet there's all this evidence that you were so terrified, you were so scared, you locked yourselves in a bedroom, you know what I mean? Like
you ran downstairs.
You ran downstairs, you texted your friend and said, I'm scared.
Or screwed.
I'm scared or screwed. It might, who knows? Court documents say scared. Text message looks like screwed. Like, there's just no telling.
Is there anything that you've read or heard or seen that makes you feel like there is a visual frozen shock phase from the way that either of the 2 roommates sound? I haven't either.
No.
And I don't really even care. That's just my opinion. Sorry to all the NPCs out there that are emotionally triggered because they have no ability to critically think. And at this point, it is what it is. Like I said, are we ready to be adults about this? 2 girls that are adults had 4 of their roommates stabbed to death. And you go listen to their interviews. If I was another parent of a victim, I would not be able to sit there and listen. I would run through a goddamn brick wall for that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. There's nothing that I've heard that gives scared, shocked. Nothing based on the actions, the interview. Dylan is calm as a cucumber in her interview on the 17th. She doesn't seem flustered whatsoever. She doesn't seem, and again, I have not been in that situation, so I don't want to, but it, listening to it, it doesn't appear that she is flustered whatsoever.
Well, and I've never been in that situation either when it comes to being around murder, but I've had terrible trauma and tragedy in my life.
Yes.
I've had terrible sadness. I've lost loved ones. I've held my, not to get all sappy, but it's the reality. I've held my father's hand as he takes his last breath, and his last words were my name. So I've had grieving. I've had loss, and I'm not the only person to go through that. You know, unfortunately, trauma, tragedy, and grieving is a part of our world. It is a part of being human. And all of us at some point or another, we're going to go through it. And people that have, there's an instinct, there's an intuition. When you hear something, you're like, that just doesn't seem right. And it's not just a couple people in this case. We were talking backstage. The number seems to be growing. The gap of people that have dug their heels in, it may be, what do you want to say, widening for people like us and people who really dug in. But there's a lot more people kind of coming over towards the way that a lot of us think, which is there's a lot of reasonable doubt, you know?
Yeah, there's tons of reasonable doubt. There's way too much reasonable doubt that someone should be sitting in prison for it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
So now, again, we were talking about this contact added, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of things that we can dive into about the timeline with audio, video. I'm somebody that I enjoy doing that, but I also know that it's always speculative. Like, what do you hear versus what do I hear? We could hear two completely different things that tell two different stories. What do you see versus what do I see, right? But as much as the court documents could be fudged, one of the things that has really stayed consistent has been the mainstream narrative has said they were asleep, and the court documents have shown damn near everything other than that. And this contact at 3:51 is extremely sus. Now, you were telling me a really good theory on who you think it may have been and why, if you want to explain that.
Yeah. So right at the time that Dylan adds the contact into her phone, Molly McMichaels is right outside trying to deliver the DoorDash. It would make sense to me, again, this is just a theory, I don't know this factually, that the contact that she was adding would be the DoorDash driver, because they usually text when they can't find a house or they can't find where the order is supposed to be delivered. Why she would have added that contact into her phone is beyond me. But what if she is the one that ordered the DoorDash and she was trying to make sure that the delivery was going to happen? I don't know that to be factual. It's just a theory, but it would make sense that that might be the contact she was adding into her phone.
Yeah. And I know you've been in the Hive before, but that is what we do here. You're not going to get, you're not going to get jumped for having a theory, right? You know, that's what the Hive is for. That's why I started this channel, is to think out loud. And before I say my theory, as we were just kind of talking about that whole like trauma response, and you had brought up, you're like, well, I've never been in that situation. And I'm like, well, I haven't either, but I gave my example. Maybe I need to go on more of a 40,000 foot view for not just the country, but the world when it comes to, okay, well, I also wasn't there for, and the majority of people most likely were not there for Columbine, Virginia Tech, Sandy Hook, the Pulse nightclub, Las Vegas, 9/11.
Yeah.
But guess what? Guess what happened in all of the above? Witnesses called the police. They screamed. They ran. And they had a lot of detail of things that, if anything, they gave too much detail and it got scrubbed. People broke down. They lost their minds. They may have lost family members, but they still spoke out. Because at the end of the day, I don't think trauma really just freezes people. I think sometimes it breaks people to a point where they're like, fuck it. I don't care. I'm just going to let it all out. And nobody thinks in that way for this case. Why wouldn't you? You survived a brutal murder, right? Like, I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't necessarily understand the response from the public. I don't at all, because in
Yeah.
any other case, these two girls would be considered suspects and they would be highly, highly, highly looked at. And this case is just not it. I don't understand. Like I said, every other case where two people were at home when a quadruple homicide happened, they are going to be looked at as suspects. This is the only case that that is not happening in.
It's just there's also and I'm forgetting the name of the guy. He was on Sean Ryan, right? And how I would have you ever watched Sean Ryan or seen his podcast? He does a lot of like
No.
okay. Ex special forces guy has a pretty popular like military style whistleblower type podcast. And he had a guy on there who was talking about how like PTSD or trauma, obviously you don't get amnesia for it. If anything, the reason why those memories are so intense is because in that moment you have an adrenaline spike, you have hypervigilance, you're very aware of all of your senses when your life is really in danger. That is a human survival instinct. You don't just
Yeah.
go blank. Right. And so I don't understand why this whole trauma equals amnesia for this.
Well, I don't believe in the amnesia. I don't believe in it at all. I don't believe that it occurred or happened. I believe that they know exactly what went down that night, whether that be what they heard, what they saw. I don't believe in the I don't really remember. I think that that was her lawyer. I think that that was all lawyer saying, you should say, I don't recall, I don't remember, because those are key points in what a lawyer tells you to say when you don't know yes or no answers.
Exactly. And the next time that somebody says to you or me or anybody in here, I actually got tagged in a video today, B, that somebody said, I think you were tagged in it too. There was like 5 or 6 creators and it was somebody on TikTok. They said, how do you bring up your family or how do you bring up the Idaho 4 to your family? And she was talking about this interesting situation about bringing up this case to her aunt or her mother who they follow it and they just didn't see eye to eye. And I think one of the arguments was like, well, you don't know trauma. And my thought was, well, you should tell them you don't know what a cover up looks like then. You don't know what like rather than frozen shock. Have you ever thought to yourself, what if this is strategy? What if this is strategic? Like
100% strategic. I think that she was told verbatim. That's why she didn't do her interview until the 17th. She wouldn't talk to cops until she retained counsel. And once she retained counsel, they told her exactly what to say.
I think that it's rather obvious that's completely coached. Well, I don't really know because that at times she says, well, I guess I should say this.
I think she was a yapper. I think she was a yapper. And I think that she talked a lot about a lot of things.
And it's kind of like, do you need to be a survivor or somebody who has gone through exactly the same situation to smell bullshit? Because at a certain point, we need to start treating the Idaho 4 case exactly like how it's been presented. This was never an investigation into a quadruple murder. This was a containment narrative operation. Something. It was completely to contain the message that the murder sent. It wasn't really the murders, in my opinion. I felt like this was, okay, we could tell the public about the death, the means of death, the stabbings, the victims. We can only tell them enough until that message that was being sent starts to protrude. And that's where I think the cover-up comes in, is the message cannot be known, whatever it was that was being sent.
Well, and I think too that there's so much to be said about who they didn't call. It wasn't even about you have to call the police. Who they didn't call. They didn't call anybody. They didn't text anyone about, hey, we're scared. We need help. We want someone to come over. I've been in a situation where I thought someone broke into my house. I was home alone with my dog. I locked myself in a closet. I called my boyfriend. I did not call the police, but I called my boyfriend immediately. And I said, I need you to get here with your friends now. So it's even about like who they did not call. No one. They didn't want anyone at the house. Why?
And that goes back to the contact that's added. And
exactly.
And
who was that?
Who was it? Because if it was a harmless contact added, it would have been disclosed. If it was somebody that really didn't matter, if it was random, it would be irrelevant.
It
But
would have been in parentheses. It would have been in
yes,
parentheses next to contact added, and it would have said in the things, just like all the rest of the stuff was written out in the text messages.
exactly. And my opinion on that is because it creates a timeline conflict or whatever. Because who are you going to add at a contact? Or who are you going to add as a contact? I know you gave your theory as Molly, the DoorDash driver, but clearly it's somebody that's either somehow connected to you that got your number from either a victim, a friend of the victims, they're a friend of yours, right? Like,
Yeah, well, I
it's
mean, and also
somebody.
you guys were just chilling at home. You got home at 12:30. You were doing absolutely nothing. So who did you come in contact with that you needed to add a contact in your phone at 3:51 when you were allegedly sleeping? Because last time I checked, unless I was going to talk to you multiple times, I'm not adding you into a contact, especially in the middle of the night when I'm sleeping. I'm going to wait till I wake up to add you in as a contact.
That's so true. You're right. Do you know, like, there is like at least a minuscule amount of effort of adding a contact. If you're that
Yeah.
drunk, you can't remember, you don't remember shit, but you can add in a
Add
contact.
a contact, you have to physically add the contact in. You have to type in a name. You have to save it. Like it takes effort. So you can't be completely blackout wasted in the middle of sleeping and add a
Right.
contact into your phone.
It's a fully cognitive action. That is deliberate. You are deliberately and cognitively adding and making a decision in that moment. And
100%.
that's just insane. But do you want to know what else is crazy? What that tells me is that the truth to that contact is probably worse than having everybody look at you and know you're a liar by saying you're asleep, because whoever was added was probably a giveaway. That's really how I'm starting to look at things like this. Is they would rather have us break it down and say, who do you think it could have been? Who do you think it could have been? She obviously wasn't asleep, versus letting us know who she actually added. They would rather have that.
Yeah, because why wouldn't you just tell us who she added in as a contact if it was just somebody random? But like I said, who would she have been adding in? She had been at a party with all of her friends. She met someone that she was texting with that she decided to add in the middle of her sleep.
Yeah, let's think through that for a little bit. It could have been a timeline thing. It could have exposed maybe somebody that I highly doubt this, but for maybe people that think Brian did it, why isn't there anybody saying like, oh, was it Brian Koberger's number that she added? Right? Like, you could speculate on anybody at that point, but nobody wants to. But it's important.
Yeah, nobody wants to talk about the contact. Nobody wants to talk about it because then it off rails the narrative, right? If you talk about the contact, then Dylan can't be sleeping and Dylan has to be awake, and it completely derails everything. So people don't want to talk about it because then it goes against the narrative that we've been told.
And I mean, what if it was a cop?
What if it was a cop?
What if it was a cop that said, hey, this is officer, stay in your room, lock your door, don't come out?
Very well could have been. How are we supposed to know when they won't release it?
Don't call 911 until noon tomorrow. I have no idea what it could be, but it had to have been something that made her think that this was handled and that this was okay.
Well, and it also is right before, literally minutes before she allegedly hears everything go down. So at this point, the music is blasting, right? It's blasting at this point. It has not been turned off at 3:51 a.m. She's sleeping, but yet she's not sleeping. What on earth?
Do you think that whoever it is that she added, it may have made her feel in a way that, okay, well, somebody outside of these four walls knows what happened, so I don't need to report it? Because not taking her side, I can also see not wanting to incriminate yourself if you did know something, where you assume if you maybe get a call or you get a text, maybe you don't know. Again, I'm playing kind of on the opposite side of the spectrum I typically do, but trying to think out loud is, could she have thought maybe it's not as bad as I think it is, or maybe it's not as bad as it sounded? I don't know.
Maybe it was some sort of like confidant slash But to me, it seems like it's someone that she wanted to remain in contact with. Obviously, if you're going to add someone into your phone as a full contact, you want to remain in contact with them. You want to know whose number that is.
Well, yes, you want to know whose number that is. And so let's actually break down that part. If she's adding a contact, we know it's 99.9% sure not from a friend. We know it's 99.9% sure it's not from a victim. And we also probably know, in the same sense, it's 99.9% not from a stranger that has no relevance.
Yes. It's also not from a love interest because she has a boyfriend in Boise.
Damn. Yeah, you're right. So how many people does that leave? Like,
Not
if
a
we had to
lot.
think through, not a lot. There's only a few type of people that I'm sure you could narrow down if we would see that contact name that would connect a lot of dots. And that's hence why I say they would rather have all of us get on here and speculate who the hell was it than to just tell us, because us doing this is still way less of a problem for them than them just telling us like, hey, yep, this is the person she added.
I'm surprised that the FOIA requests haven't come out yet with phone records.
Yeah.
But I know that it costs a lot of money, so I know that that's not really an option for a lot of people.
Right. I mean, and obviously there's ways to do it. People are doing it. I've talked with my mods about a couple of things that we've looked at doing in 2026. I'd like to get things that are kind of outside of the main files of the case, right? Like, for example, not that I would FOIA this, but I found a lot of interesting stuff today. And you know what I'm going to do is let me show you this. So what's your opinion, to kind of transition? What's your opinion on the new 1112 footage that people did FOIA?
I think that it's absolutely insane. I don't understand why the cops honed in on 4 to 4:17 or whatever time that they honed in on. I don't get it. I even today went through other documents and I highlighted where they were like, we got this footage. They watched the entirety of the footage, and then they went and said only this little tiny time frame. And I'm like, wait a minute. The suspect vehicle, the screams, all of the things that are going on, you just skipped over all of those things. There's so many cars driving past. There's cars driving past right after the time of the crime, and you just skipped over all of that so that you could hone in on just this little tiny time frame from 4 to like 4:15.
And it's almost so obvious. This case was never meant to be solved. It was meant to be closed. Let's just have a good
Yes.
enough narrative that if we have our friends in the mainstream media push it.
Yeah, we'll just close it. We'll lock away a guy and it'll be done and over.
Exactly. And okay, so you guys are going to notice when I add this to the stage here. Okay, so these are the cameras, right? You're going to notice this one. I'm curious how many people are familiar with this one, but we have dumpster cam, we have car park, we got Banfield, we got 1112, right? Now, I was doing some digging on Google Maps and I went back to, I think, October of 2022 or September of 2022, and I saw this on 1260 Walenta. And I don't know about you, but that's a damn Ring doorbell camera. And that's right on the loop where you see all the cars passing. And I could pull up a screenshot of that just to give people, I'm sure there's some that have seen that. Have you?
I have not seen it, but I know that there were multiple Ring doorbell cameras that were listed in the documents.
Right. So let me show the screenshot of that quick. Let me just pull it up. My slides froze earlier, Hive, so stick with me here for a second while I get that back up. All right. So right here is where that camera is, where my cursor is, which is where you see all the flashes, like that camera. Oh, I guess I have this picture. I did have it ready. But That's where it is. Why have we not seen that? They've shown us other ones. And people have said and speculated about how maybe somebody has ran up here and got into a car in Walenta. There's that film crew that said they saw somebody run out of the house and hop in a black truck. Well, 257, 258 on all the cameras, you hear a door shut, right? Or at least in my opinion, you do. But everybody knows then at the Banfield, you see the black truck drive by at like 3:01. And then just so happens that the Linda Lane dumpster cam glitches right when it's about to pass that. So I think that's a little bit weird. Again,
Yeah, I
there's
don't
just
believe
weird oddities. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't believe that any of the cameras glitched. I don't believe that one single camera glitched and cut out just a portion of recording. I don't believe that for a second.
So in the sense that it was manipulated purposely?
Yes, I think it was manipulated purposely. I think it was cut out on purpose. I don't believe that just certain times that are very important, we lost audio or we lost footage. Like, it's almost comical because right when Kaylee and Maddie are getting home, we don't have audio, but we have audio for all of the rest of the footage. No, the camera didn't glitch and just cut out the audio on that 1 hour. That's not a thing.
You conspiracy theorist. Let the cops do it. What are you, the FBI? No, and it's like,
I
so
know.
obvious.
Who am I? Who am I? A professional?
Yeah. It's so obvious. And it's just, guys, that's not crazy. Do you understand that we live in a digital age? And so when you see clouds stop moving and you hear sound not make sense to your ears and it sounds like it's glitching and it sounds like whatever, but you can't make anything out. Understand that is purposefully done in a case like this. Look at the AI videos that have come out. For God's sakes, my mom sent me a text of, I don't remember exactly what it was, but she got by AI and she's like, can you believe this? And I think it was like some lady in a safari that was taking a picture of a lion and it like ripped her out. And I'm like, that is the most obvious AI I've ever seen. But think about how easy that is to now manipulate people.
Yeah, and people don't believe that the footage could be manipulated.
Why? Why? Why don't people believe
doesn't
it?
exist. It doesn't exist. But yet on every single piece of footage it says redacted, which means literally that it was manipulated. That's what redacted means. That they manipulated the footage to take out parts or delete parts. Redacted means delete, take away.
It really, it's really right in our face. It's right in our face. And it's one of those things where I don't know about you, but I'm at the point where whatever the motive was is not just different than what we've been told. I believe that it's so much worse than what we would think. Like, I really do. I think that it's got to be so bad that whatever the reason is, that whether you want to say they were all killed, some of them were killed, none of them were killed, whatever it is, whatever this situation is that we are in, no matter what the outcome is, it's got to be so bad to get to this point.
Yeah, I think it's, I can't. I can't wrap my head around it every day. I can't wrap my head around it.
So you were kind of saying you were going back to the beginning and you were re-looking at some of the police documents, which obviously on TikTok, I see a lot of your stuff. That's what you do. Has there been a breakthrough in your mind that you feel like you've put out there that maybe some people just haven't had click yet? Or would you say anything in the footage that you've seen?
The only thing I think that I've had a breakthrough with was today finding that unredacted report. I think that was a breakthrough. I think that finding that with all of the names listed, all of the people typed out without any of the redactions, that was a bit of a breakthrough. That was my first time feeling like, okay, wow, maybe I actually found something that could be helpful. Maybe not my only time I found something that I thought could be helpful, but just like, okay, this is kind of big.
Yeah. Yeah. And do Do you ever think that a lot of the stuff we're being shown, and I don't know the answer to this, I've gone on both sides of the fence. Do you ever think that a lot of the stuff we're being shown with the white car looping, circling, I have did a giant breakdown on the footage I think is looped for a certain portion of time on 1112. It looks way too similar. And my question is, do you ever think that the white car is just a red herring? Killers were on
I think
foot.
that the white car could be a red herring. I also think that the white car could have been trying to pick someone up. From the beginning, I've thought that the white car was not the unaliver. I've never once thought that the white car was someone that was the unaliver. I thought that that white car was waiting on someone. It does a weird U-turn, and it does a U-turn when it came from the exact direction that it's now heading back in. Why would you all of a sudden U-turn when you just came from that direction unless someone told you to come back and pick them up?
And don't you think that in regards to the car too, Brian Koberger, if they would have known that it was him, meaning they can ID him in the car, they got a license plate, they saw him going into the house, something, wouldn't you expect more of a sense of urgency to find that car? They clearly had no idea which car was the murderer, because even after a month, they were saying the occupants or occupant of the 2011 to 2013 white Hyundai Elantra may have critical information on the murders. They were never saying the suspected murderer is fleeing in a white Hyundai Elantra, because when the cops know some shit like that, they will absolutely blast that out. They never said that it was a suspect. They said this person might have critical information, was their wording.
Well, because how are you going to know that that's a suspect? How do you know that that is a suspect vehicle when there are 7, 8, 9 other vehicles in the footage from the night? Like, there's one car, yeah, it's there, but that same car is also at the grub truck footage. That same car also has exhaust and is loud. And then you want to bring up a 2011 to 2013 factory Hyundai Elantra? Well, guess what they don't have? Exhaust.
That's true. That is true. And, you know, speaking of that too, in general, like the white, or not, I guess the white Elantra being a red herring. Have you ever thought through that the murders happened? Like, are you somebody that tends to believe the murders happened earlier or later, or when they said
Earlier.
they did? You think earlier?
Earlier. I think they happened earlier. I think they happened closer to 2:00 in the morning.
Do you,
At least some of them.
now, serious question. This is not a gotcha, but do you ever think that that could be manipulated? Like the audio and the redacted and everything we just said, like it clears out or it goes mute, the clouds freeze. Do you ever think that it could be that manipulated to really have everybody think like, oh, wow, like almost like a double trap? And I'm not trying to sound nuts, but I'm saying, why just move it a little bit up? Wouldn't you give a false timeline to the news? And then when you release it, you actually release it at a false timeline than that. That's not that critical. Like, I don't think that that's that far-fetched to think if you do this type of shit.
I don't think that it's that crazy to think about that. I just think that they were given a timeline originally, and then they honed in on this one little piece, because originally they said that the crimes could have happened anytime between 2 and 4:30 a.m. So where did it come that it was this? It came from Dylan's testimony. That's where it came from, which is not credible whatsoever. That's where the timeline came from. And the white car driving around.
And the bushy eyebrows.
And the bushy eyebrows.
And the same person that says, I don't know what's real.
I don't know what's real. I don't know what's fake. I might have been drunk. I might have been dreaming.
That's your star witness.
Yes.
The entire timeline's built off her.
I mean, I think she says close to 10 times, I don't know if this is real. I don't know if what I'm telling you is real.
Because if you take Dylan Mortensen out of it, there was hell of a lot of activity going on the 1112 camera all damn night. How would you narrow it down to that?
You don't. Exactly. Take her out. Remove her. And I have said that from the jump. You guys want to go all in and say she's a victim, she's this, she's that. Just remove her completely from the scenario. Take her away. Now, what do we have? We have this insane thing, all of these insane things going on. We have screaming, yelling, hooting, like, I mean, not party sounds as far as I'm concerned, and I've been to a lot of parties. I've never heard sounds like that from a party, much less in a close-knit neighborhood where we already had noise complaints called. So take her and remove her. What do you have left? You don't have a timeline, that's for sure.
You don't have a witness.
You don't have a witness.
You don't have bushy eyebrows.
You don't have bushy eyebrows that you didn't even see until your third or fourth interview.
What would you have still?
You would have nothing.
Is there anything?
I don't think you would have any. I don't think you would have. What would you have? You would have nothing.
Sherlock.
If you removed Dylan completely and took away everything that she said, you would not have, you would only have what Bethany said, which is when Kaylee and Maddie got home, getting ready upstairs for bed. You would have going outside to take the dog getting lost. You would have the loud bang.
Let's see how many we can name. Okay, so I'm going to get the chat involved. Sherlock says, you don't have 4 a.m.
Nope.
I just saw another one. Caleb says, you have no balaclava. You don't have the bushy eyebrows, as we said. Really all you would have is the audio, but let's see. What else are people saying? Someone said, what you'd have is them investigating further.
Yep. Yes, Brian Todd, 100%.
Yes.
100%. You would have someone doing more of an investigation if you did not have that witness testimony.
Yes. KS, Jess, and Art, great point. You don't have just one perp. No vacuum. You don't have the 911 call. You really don't have a timeline for Ethan or Xana. That I don't know if you have either way with Bethany or Dylan. Yeah,
we don't have that no matter what. I mean, Bethany did report in the affidavit, Bethany says that they came home at 1:45. So we have that.
Right. I mean, dude, this is super interesting. So like Mel's Bells and somebody else said this. You really don't have the lone wolf. You don't have the I'm here to help you. You don't have the I thought I heard crying in the bathroom and it was Kaylee, but now I know that it was Xana. You don't have the mask. You don't have the bushy eyebrows. You don't have Kaylee saying someone's in the room running downstairs.
You don't have any of it. I also don't believe it was Xana crying in the bathroom.
I think it was Kaylee as well.
Because how did Kaylee get back upstairs if she was on the main floor dancing with Murphy with music?
Exactly. And in my opinion,
she ran down.
Yes.
According to Dylan, according to one of the things that we do have, based on Dylan's testimony, she ran down the stairs screaming, someone's here. I think someone's here, which would have put her on the second level. So how did she get back to the third?
Would we even know if Kaylee or Maddie were home if we didn't hear from Dylan? That's a real question.
Bethany would have placed them at home because Bethany allegedly went outside with Maddie to take Murphy outside.
Yeah, and then at the end of Dylan's interview on the 17th, she's like, "Oh, I forgot I let the dog out."
Oh yeah,
nobody asked her what time. Yeah, what time? Yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't have Kaylee running up and down the stairs. You wouldn't have the sliding glass door where they exited, where they entered, which is also crazy too. In that interview with Gooch, she says, well, they must have had to pass your door, meaning the detective is saying, she's saying he would have had to walk past your door. And Dylan right away goes, well, unless they climb the balcony. It's like, why are you saying that? I mean, I get you're maybe wanting to help, but it also, if you listen to it, again, going back to that intuition, it feels like, are you confirming a story? Or are you just saying that to help brainstorm? Because it doesn't ever feel like you're brainstorming. It feels like you're running this interview.
Yeah. And what do you mean if they climbed the balcony? Had people previously climbed the balcony? Why would you think about that? Why would you think that someone would be able to climb the balcony unless someone had previously climbed the balcony and you knew it was able to be done?
That's true. You don't have Vampire Diaries. You don't have Xana wearing all black.
It really removes
Everything.
many things. So many things. And I think that it would have fallen to pieces had it gone to trial.
Well, you know what I've always wondered is at no point does anybody say that Xana and Ethan were sleeping, meaning Dylan or Bethany, yet alone say that they're home. Clearly, when you talk to Dylan, Kaylee's not asleep. Kaylee walked upstairs, and that's when the attack started. You can tell. Yet the news, think about how long that's gone on, guys. Even if you just discredit one of the victims not being asleep, being Kaylee, based on Dylan's testimony or her interviews, right? She walked upstairs and she ran down and said, someone's here. Is she sleepwalking? No.
She's very much awake.
Yes.
Very much awake. And not even like remotely sleeping. She is very awake if she is up running.
It's just, and then you got, dude, I feel like it's something that you and I probably do very often, even in our own minds or with when we talk to, other people, but it's like you got all of this overly logical thought process that is within milliseconds when you're in the moment. You hear running down the stairs, someone's in here. You're so scared that you're locking your door. You ran downstairs. You're calling your roommates. You got a firecracker. You thought it was a fireman. There's a fire. Oh, I'm good. I don't need to go out and check. The fireman's got us. You got somebody holding a mini vacuum. You got a guy in a mask. You got bushy eyebrows. Bethany hears Dylan apparently, or not Dylan. Bethany hears Ethan apparently just always being a bull in the china shop, bumping into tables, eating chips or whatever the hell she said, eating food in the kitchen. She just thought it was Ethan. It's like, if you weren't scared, wouldn't you go out there and be like,
exactly.
Who's lighting a firework off in her house?
Well, and also I've had people in my comments say, well, Kaylee was such a prankster and she was always pranking everybody. Well, if you knew that and you thought that Kaylee was pranking you, wouldn't you just run up and go like, get her? Like, why are you doing like Ethan eating in the kitchen isn't scary. Kaylee playing a prank on someone isn't scary. Those things are not things that you shy away from. Those are things that you run into. So if that were the case, why did they not run into those things instead of hiding away from them?
What are your thoughts on Xana and Ethan in that situation?
I don't understand why no one can place Xana and Ethan anywhere. There's only talk of them being at this party. There's someone that saw them maybe at 2, but then there's someone that said that they left after 12. I don't understand how, and the only reason it doesn't make any sense is because I think people are lying. I think that Bethany's original statement is that they got home at 1:45 a.m. Why did that go out the window? Why was that able to be retracted? Like she said in the affidavit, they were home by 1:45. Everybody was in their rooms and in bed by 4. That means everybody, all occupants. All occupants are everybody that lives in the house. So why was that able to be walked back?
The level of selective memory is off the charts. It's off the charts.
Were they home at 1:45 or were they not home at 1:45? Was everybody in their rooms and asleep by 4 or were they not?
But it's okay. I'm here to help you. That is still in the damn narrative today.
Yes.
It's just like, do you ever think about with this case that, I mean, myself included, I can only speak for myself. I'm not going to speak for you. It worked on me, certainly in the beginning.
It did. 100%. I thought this was an open and shut case. I didn't think twice about it. I literally saw it, heard it, like sat with it for a little while and was like, okay, that's it. That's what it is.
I think that while I might not have thought that it was only just one person right away, I I remember seeing Brian Koberger on TV and I'm like, that's the dude. Like I literally said that out loud to my wife. I was like, that's the guy. But when I heard all of the other things, meaning like in the PCA, Dylan, Bethany, I never thought really too far past that until I really started to see a lot of this redactions and they're not releasing 911 calls. And then you see the 911 call, like whatever the transcript of it. And it's like, hold on. This is the most bizarre shit I've ever seen in my life.
Yes, and it doesn't match. It doesn't match up with the story that's being told, and none of it makes any sense.
I think one thing that we have to also understand is that when you are the creator of the cover up, it's rather easy to cover it up when you don't have to follow the rules because legally you are protected under laws and other shit that the people you serve have essentially voted for. Really, you can do a lot of this stuff that they're doing legally, which is even crazier.
And they're all just a little tight-knit community. Everybody's in bed with everybody else. Kathy, Chief Fry, Bill Thompson, everybody. They've all been working together for years and years and years. Like the fact that nobody thinks that they would all be on the same team and be doing the same thing to like cover something up is crazy to me.
Have you
or
seen,
that it's a possibility.
Right. That's what I think that actually hits the nail on the head. Have you seen the interview room with Chris McDonough and the gun call of his family?
Maybe, but I don't know for sure if I have.
All right. I'll play this. I put this out today. This is just like a 1 minute, 2 minute clip. This is pretty wild. Oops. Let me get it to the stage. So this is November 2nd of this year.
Think about that. They're asking us to make a plea deal, to accept it, and they still haven't told us what's happened to our child. It's absolutely unacceptable. He's a disgusting prosecutor. We had no idea what had happened to our own child, let alone, and I argue, I need to know the totality of everything he did. I need to know what he did to Ethan. I need to know what Xana went through. I don't want to hear it, right, but I have to honor their sacrifice to make a plea deal, to make a deal. For him to rob us all of that just shows what a worth. This is why the FBI fled that town. We had 61 FBI officers. They took off and left. This guy had done things that they couldn't support. They couldn't stand, and they got out of there. You should be fired. You have a job as a prosecutor to take the totality of the actions of a killer and play them into your decision-making. And when you literally say it doesn't matter, then you should be fired.
See, that to me, when I see stuff like that, that to me, it really encourages me to continue to stay with this case, because this was just over a month ago, almost 2 months ago now. But I mean, that is a family that has been very outspoken. They've been at times very defensive of this. But then you hear this when it comes to Bill Thompson. Okay, so they're not happy. They were writing their victim impact statements and they still didn't know what had happened.
It's asinine, completely asinine.
And if you watch this full interview, at one point, you know how Chrissy will sometimes like calm Steve down. At one point, Steve is like, and we've heard he's got Alzheimer's. Like he's just losing his mind on Bill Thompson. Full crash out.
I mean, Bill Thompson is a joke.
It's insane.
Bill Thompson is a joke.
And you know what's interesting is that I just saw a couple comments too that say like SG is lying in this case.
Yeah, I've heard some of those conspiracies or some of those comments being made, but I mean, I don't have anything to base that off of, so I would have no grounds to say that.
I've always felt that Steve G may get on interviews and ramble, overshare, but I've always said he's not a dumb dude. He's calculated, I think. maybe his delivery is not the most polished, but I think he says the things that he's wanting to say in a way that gets his point across. He talks through the screen really well when he's delivering a message, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think that he's definitely doing the most, right? Like he's doing the most as it should be done.
Yeah. And this isn't necessarily saying that everything that he said or didn't say is right or wrong, but there's a lot of things that he has completely planted the seed for in the narrative. And I wonder if this is one of them. And I wonder why he talks in a way that is unlike the majority of the other families in general. And then just like he talks not like a civilian, the totality. He says a lot of phrases that are like, are you being briefed? Are you talking to your private investigators a lot? Like, why are you using that phrasing?
Yeah. No, he definitely is very outspoken when it comes to talking about things. And I think that he's the only one. He's the only one that's doing it.
Yeah, it's wild. And B, so what I'm going to do here, I got to fill up my water. I told you backstage, my throat is killing me. Hive, I'm fighting off another freaking cold. I don't know what's going on, but B, can you see the chat on your side or no?
I cannot.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go fill this up. I'll be back as quick as I can. Don't go anywhere. Please hit the like button. Let me actually pull up a super chat for you. And you can answer this. So, okay, this is a good one. So Love and Other Habits says, Dylan would not have received the call from DoorDash because it was placed on Ethan's or with Ethan's accounts. Thank you, Love and Other Habits, for the super chat. I'll be right back, B. Thank you.
Oh, yes. Well, I mean, Dylan, hello, Love and Other Habits. Dylan would not have received the call from DoorDash because it was placed on Ethan's with Ethan's account. Yes, according to the documents, it was placed on not Xana's account because they haven't been able to pull Xana's DoorDash records, or she didn't have any, they didn't exist. So I'm not sure. We don't know exactly whose account it was ordered off of, allegedly Ethan's. But if it was Ethan's account, why didn't it say Ethan's name on it? Because when you have an account, your name is linked to that account. You cannot change it unless you put a note, and then that note, it would be weird. Why would you put a note if you were just ordering food for your girlfriend? So I'm not sure. Yeah, Dylan would not have received that call from DoorDash if that's what happened.
How did it go?
It went well. So I was saying that Dylan, so they don't have Xana's DoorDash records, right? They never were able to get them. There's no record of Xana having a DoorDash account. So whose DoorDash account did it come from? If it was Ethan's, which would make sense, right? Her boyfriend ordering her food, then it wouldn't have said Xana's name on it.
Well, and I don't know about you, but one of the things, I have Sammy T Mafia on my stream every now and again, and she was sending me some stuff that was pretty interesting about just the DoorDash bag. Have you ever noticed how much that DoorDash bag moves around?
Yes, it's all over the kitchen, and the name is in big, bold, black letters, and it bothers me so badly because
Yes.
I've never seen a DoorDash bag with a name written on it like that.
So is
so
that
perfectly too.
Yes.
And with the name Xana. That's not a normal name. You're not writing Ashley. You're not writing Caleb. You're writing Xana. How you would spell that Zana?
Well, and that's where I'm thinking to myself, controlling this cover up, if you were to have seen a DoorDash bag or a Jack in the Box bag, how hard is it to get a DoorDash sticker from that and just go write it on there? That bag is, I don't know. It's one of those things. I'm not saying that they planted that or whatever. I don't know, but it's something it's pushed in the narrative. Whenever I see something like overly pushed in the narrative like that, my red flags go off. And that's one of them. Why is it that the name is always visible on it too? Always.
Yeah, always. And it's not ripped, it's not torn, because typically the label would be where you would tear it open.
Yeah, you're so right. When you get DoorDash, they fold the bag over and they
And you
put
have to
the
tear it.
sticker. It's like this. It's like this. If this is let me roll this up. So if this is the bag and this is where it's rolled, they put the tag here.
Yeah,
so
you
it's
have
like,
to rip it.
and you rip it and you open that up. You're so right.
And that bag is just perfectly labeled Xana with no rips in it.
I've never thought of that, B, until right now. And I get DoorDash fairly often.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that bag is just so intact and it's not completely just obliterated, especially from someone that they're claiming was completely wasted and so blackout that she, and she ordered this food and she carefully opened her bag and she didn't disturb her sticker.
I'm looking up DoorDash's policy. Does the sticker have to close the bag? Does it have to seal the bag for like protective liability issues?
I think they started it during COVID.
We got custody queens in the house. What's up, Kristen? How are you doing? Have we ever seen any records from DoorDash whatsoever? No.
None. We only have seen that they subpoenaed warrants from DoorDash, or they subpoenaed records from DoorDash to get the receipts, blah, 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 blah. But there's no indication of what those actually were.
So the DoorDash policy is that the sticker must close the bag rule. Merchants should secure and seal orders, often with stickers or tape, so the bag stays closed and customers can tell if it's been opened. DoorDash's own merchant guidance calls out sealing bags with tamper-proof stickers as best practice. That's on DoorDash's website, DoorDash Help.
Yep. And that sticker is not ripped.
That's so weird. Wow. That's something that I love when that happens. Like when I go live with people like yourself, because I've never thought of that. And I'll think through everything else, or like I've thought of a lot of crazy shit, but how have I not thought of that?
Yeah.
Does she put it back on the bag perfectly? No.
Yeah, it's literally perfectly written. It's not ripped whatsoever. The bag doesn't even look like it's ripped. And I mean, I don't know about you, but you said you get plenty of DoorDash. I get plenty of DoorDash. And when I'm opening a bag, like I'm just ripping the bag open. I'm not like carefully cutting the DoorDash sticker so that it's symmetrical. And like I said, that DoorDash sticker is completely intact. It's not even remotely torn.
See, and why are we so gung-ho on that DoorDash driver? And I'll tell you why, in my opinion. The DoorDash driver is the only thing that confirms Xana at home, guys. That's the narrative anchor. And guess what?
It's the only thing that places. It's the only thing that places her at home.
And we don't even see it. We don't even see the records of it.
We don't have anything. So how do we even know when, where, what? Like, we don't know anything.
Why are they doing this to us? Not even to us, to the families. Take us out of it. That was wrong. I misspoke there. I apologize. Why are they doing this to the families, dude?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand why this case, the families haven't received the details that they're warranted to receive.
Okay, let me ask you this. If you could ask Bill Thompson one question and one question only, what are you asking him? You're passing him in the street. What are you saying?
I feel like the question that I would want to ask him is, why didn't you put stipulations in the plea deal? But I know his answer would be that Brian Koberger would not tell the truth. So I don't know that there's a lot of questions that I would be able to ask Bill Thompson, because I know that he would just avoid them.
Isn't that asinine though? that we're just going to
Yes.
take this guy who works for the state and say, no, he is going to lie. I'm not even going to let him tell his story. It's going to be a lie. What?
Yes. When there is no indication that he has lied.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
There wasn't one indication during the whole trial that Brian Koberger was lying. During anything, he didn't make any statements. He didn't make any. So the fact that Bill Thompson came out and made that decision on his own, and he was allowed to make that decision on his own, is completely crazy to me. It would be one thing if you had, there's a case that I'm thinking of. I don't know. There's a documentary called The Girl from the Fire or something like that, where the guy is just consecutively lying about where the body is. Like, he tells one story and then he tells another story and then he tells another story and he tells another story. That would be one thing, right? Like, okay, cool. That guy's lying. He's going to lie. But that didn't happen.
I would say, Bill, did you use lube or did you raw dog the Constitution when you made this timeline up? That's what I would say. Right to his face. If I was riding down an elevator with Bill, I'd say, why'd you do that? Why did you do the Constitution so dirty, Bill? Because you bent Brian Koberger over. You showed him the 50 states. And it's so obvious. You don't even have a murder weapon. You don't have a motive. The families are saying it doesn't matter. The timeline makes zero sense. He's not connected to the victims. He didn't stalk them. What's your end game, Bill? Retirement?
Retirement without losing a case.
It really does get me mad, B.
Yeah, it's infuriating. It really is. It really is. Like, retirement without losing a case. That was the end game.
Would you be able to sit there as Brian Koberger and hear, let's say that Bill Thompson did Bill Thompson say that in front of Brian about I'm not going to give him the chance to speak, he would lie, or did he say that in the
He
media?
said that after the fact to the media.
Yeah. Could you imagine if he would have said that in front of BK? Would you have been able to keep your mouth shut if you were in his position and truly unaware of what was happening to you?
I wouldn't have been able to keep my mouth shut the entire time. I think I would have been calculated about what I was saying, but I wouldn't have been able to keep my mouth shut. That's for sure.
And what's your thoughts on, this is something that I've talked about a couple times. I don't think I ever asked you. What are your thoughts on Donald Trump talking about that plea deal?
I thought
Take
that
Trump
was
out of
very
it.
strange.
Yeah, like
That
just the
it
president.
made it, right? It made it all the way to the like, I thought it was strange that it made it to the president. Like, what was the, I don't know. It just seemed odd.
Why would a president, yet alone Donald Trump, ever ask about a stabbing by a wannabe serial killer in Moscow, Idaho?
Yeah, it's very strange that it would even be brought to the attention of the president of the United States of America.
And then he has to say he should have to explain himself, which is even weirder because that's how you know he's briefed on this plea deal is probably not going to need to have an explanation.
Yeah, he should have to explain himself. If you're accepting a plea deal, there should be stipulations in the plea that you have to explain.
Unless the only thing that I could think of, which I don't know, I'm just thinking like strategically, is that just like an opportunity to call out a two-tier justice system that like in some way or another, was it, I don't know, like could it not be related to him actually knowing about this?
I mean, I don't know. It's very strange. I'm not sure. I don't know.
He's not wrong when it comes to there should have been an explanation. I think that every single person in America would have said that too. But it is weird that came from the top down.
Yes, it's very weird. And he's not wrong. Unfortunately, he's not wrong. There should have been an explanation.
Other people are getting sweetheart deals all over this case for talking. Right? Like you look at Xana's mom, you look at which I almost forgot to bring this up, B. I sent you this video. You look at Emma and Demetrius. Where are you at on that whole Emma Bailey rumor?
I believe that they could have been present or involved. I think that Emma was friends with Xana. I think that Emma Bailey was way more involved than people think. I think that there was a lot of drug use going on between everybody, and I think there was a supplier for that. I think that might have been Emma and Demetrius.
So what I had sent B before the show, just so that she could see it, I was watching on what's it called? Transparency Body Cam, but it's Emma Bailey in getting a DUI. And what's hilarious is Transparency Body Cam says future homicide suspect. And I think this is in February of 23, but I have a clip of it. And I put this little clip together. I want you guys to tell me if you notice anything. All right. I'll put this full screen.
Good. Is that your phone? You have a phone? Marilyn says that's yours.
Oh. Yes, sir. I thought I lost it at the club.
Okay. Does that look right?
Yes.
Okay.
We live in Pullman. She lives in Moscow. We live in Pullman. She lives in Moscow. We live in Pullman. She lives in Moscow.
Okay, do that. How about you have your keys?
Yes.
How about run there, get your purse, take a guy with you so you're not walking by.
Yes.
Do you guys notice anything at the end of that and why I slowed it down? Who is not shortly behind a bunch of friends? Did you guys see that vehicle? I know, B, you said you missed it the first time.
I did miss it the first time.
All right. I'm going to play it one more time.
Good. Is that your phone? You have a phone? Marilyn says that's yours.
Oh. Yes, sir. I thought I lost it at the club.
Okay. Does that look right?
Yes.
Okay.
We live in Pullman. She lives in Moscow. We live in Pullman. She lives in Moscow. We live in Pullman. She lives in Moscow.
Okay, do that. How about you have your keys?
Yes.
How about run there, get your purse, take a guy with you so you're not walking by.
Yes.
So I just thought that was a little bit interesting that in February, they get pulled over for a DUI. Emma Bailey is doing her thing. And then you see a F-350 all black Ford pickup truck drive by. Almost like they're all leaving from the club. They got multiple cars. If you look behind this cop car that had them pulled over, there was another car of their friends that was pulled over too. These cops are being cool about it because it almost seemed like they might have been in a convoy. And then a couple minutes later, you see the big black diesel truck go right by.
And who could that be?
A lot of people think that it's Quinn or Dylan. Myself included.
Which would make sense. Do you know where they're being pulled over at?
I wonder if so. Let me pull up the video description so I can.
Because they say we live in Pullman, she lives in Moscow. I'm wondering where they were. Or were they in Moscow, or were they in Pullman, or were they in neither?
Yeah, so this is the profile. It's Transparency Body Cam. This is where you can find it. But if you type in Transparency, Emma Bailey. It'll pop right up. This was added 2 years ago. So this says March 21st, 2023, but didn't the video say, oh, maybe, what did the video say? It said
might have been when it
February
was
12th.
uploaded. I think that might be when it was uploaded is March.
Oh, okay. Okay. So the video is from February 12th.
Well, can I go with her at least? Dude, you're too drunk. How about
So, so they got the date wrong because the body cam says February. Oh, never mind. Right here. Oh my God. At approximately what time does that say? What are the odds of that, dude? It's the 12th and it's at 1:56.
Wow.
Are you shitting me? That's the weirdest coincidence of all time.
Wow.
Maybe. I don't know. That seems weird to me. I'm trying to look to see if it says where they were. If you watch the full thing, they were driving all over the place. She went to the Whitman County Jail in Colfax, Washington, bail amount of $500.
Okay, so they were more than likely in Washington then.
Yeah, because she got it. So it said arrested.
Oh, look,
for
a DUI in Pullman, Washington. Okay, so they're in Pullman. They're not even in Moscow.
Yep. She's been charged with drug-induced homicide. Isn't that title future homicide suspect, Emma Bailey?
Yeah, well, they killed someone with their drugs.
It's wild to me. It's wild to me. And I've always wondered about that connection, dude. I've always wondered.
I think there's definitely a connection there. I just can't. It's like loose threads. Like you can't tie it together.
And the fact that if you didn't have the receipts from very early on, it's impossible to do now. It seems like.
Yes, 100%.
Which is concerning. Because that usually means that there's truth in that.
There's a lot of things that are concerning from the beginning that you can no longer figure out now if you were just starting in.
Yeah. Well, B, let me go through these super chats quick. We had quite a few come in, so I want to see if there's any questions. Coco Cash says, "Get a cup of cocoa." Gideon's Bible has meaning. Rocky had come equipped with a gun to shoot off the legs of his rival. Beatles lyrics, be safe. Well, thank you, Coco Cash. And the White Rabbit, E and X do not walk into the home. E and X attacked first. E dead first or KG last. I do think the thud and the whimper is X slammed on the floor. Speculation only. UK Karen, tuning in from over in the UK. Thank you so much. Viper Puppets says, check your email. I sent you a super clear audio from a creator on here. Oh, thank you. I will make a note of that. Crazy Bird Lady says, you two are my faves. Thank you for all that you do, and cheers to 2026. Amen to that.
Love her.
Custody Queen Kristen, two of my favorite creators. Happy New Year. And I agree, no cameras glitched. Amen to
Love
that.
her too.
Piruletta 1122. They never were in shock. They were on shots. And the gangs, bang, bang. Thank you so much for the super chat. Love and Other Habits. I know that you answered that one. Thank you. Tina Skullscar. They pretty much forgot everyone's phone numbers, including 911. Facts. Thank you for the super chat. Tina Skullscar said, this will be the year for Brian and Richard Allen to tell their story of corruption and being screwed over by the system. I hope so. I really hope so. And happy for you 26 says, you rock. No, you rock. And thank you for the super chat. Now, B, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What is your New Year's resolution? Do you have one?
I don't. I don't have one.
What?
I try not to make them because I feel like I always just don't stick to them. To do more in on this case, to figure out more, to find more. I mean, that's my resolution every single day. Like, what can I find out today? What can I dig through? What can I pilfer through? Like, what information can I share? What facts can I put out there? What minds can I turn, maybe? So I think that will filter into 2026.
Okay, so you got one, kind of.
Kind of.
Formalize it. I heard I had heard this like 3 or 4 years ago, and it stuck with me. Every year I really want to continue to like solidify it. And there was this dude that I used to work with, and he said, every year my New Year's resolution is, if it's not hell yes, then it's no.
Okay.
I to do. And I'm like, that has stuck with me. And I'm like, that is such a good, simple New Year's resolution. If it's not super excited, like, hell yes, I want to go do that, then don't do it.
I can get behind that. I can get behind that 100%. That can be my New Year's resolution for sure.
I love that. I love that. Well, you did great tonight. Thank you for popping up. I'm glad that we could do this. We'll definitely have some more streams here in 2026. And real quick before you go, where can people find you on YouTube? Is it the same thing? Is it Booking with B?
Booking with B. Same tag.
Okay. And you guys can see that right next to her on the left-hand side there if you're looking at your screen. But B, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you, everybody in the Hive.
Thank you.
I am going to go live tomorrow around 2 p.m., 3 p.m. Central, somewhere in between there, because I know that everybody probably has plans tomorrow if they are going out, but I'm gonna stream a little bit earlier. And then Mrs. Birdie and I were renting a movie. We're sitting our ass on the couch. I'm not streaming, so I'm going to go a little bit earlier in the day. And I hope everybody has a great night tonight, and I will see you tomorrow.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you, B. Cheers.
Bye.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life.